And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Hakeem Olajuwon episode, The Dream. The 7-foot, 255-pound center is a two-time champ, one-time MVP, a 12-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA, playing 18 years in the league after being the number one overall pick, and he is a Hall of Famer, with career averages of 21, 11, and 2 on 51% shooting. And that will lead us to me, who has him ranked the highest overall at highest on both lists, actually, at number 4 overall and number 1 on his centers list. So I guess I'll keep my opening statement pretty short and sweet. Hakeem was a playoff performer. His playoff numbers go up, especially his scoring, pretty considerably, 26 points a game in the playoffs. Going up 5 points a game, still with his 11 rebounds. His assist goes up 1, and even his efficiency goes up a percentage. So Hakeem really steps it up when it mattered most, not just marginally like Shaq's free throw percentage.
Shaq's free throw percentage.
This one is more of an opinion, but I think I can back it up pretty well. I think we're looking at the greatest international player to ever walk in an NBA court, and I don't think it's particularly close. He's the only player ever to win the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Finals MVP in the same year. He is, and this is some of the stuff I think make him pretty special. Some of the defensive things for the Dream. He's number 1 all time in blocks, not to intrude on your territory here, Uncle Doug. But he's also number 9 in steals. He's the only person ever to be top 10 in both. And he is the only center in the top 59 in steals.
Wow.
And I've mentioned this in a couple other episodes because most of the other players have come up in episodes, but he's one of the only players to ever record a quadruple-double. And that is my opening statement on Hakeem Olajuwon, which would kick us to Wade, who has him ranked number 8 overall and number 2 on his centers list. But sadly, Wade's not here. I think for the 3rd week in a row. I think that's right.
I think so.
So get back to us soon, Wade. And so that will lead us to Ray, who also has Hakeem ranked number 8 overall, but a little bit down at 4 on his centers list. Ray?
All right. His footwork, his balance, his quickness, and his ability to field a defender and keep them off balance to destroy all comers. And just when you thought you figured him out, he would take you off the dribble and pop a J in your face, or just dunk on your ass. Olajuwon was a total package for a center. Giannis Antetokounmpo kind of reminds me of him, but in the way of that, you had that friend from high school, and you randomly walk by somebody and you say, "Damn, that looks like Jeff from 10th grade," but it's not really Jeff. The difference between the two is that Olajuwon can say he was the best center for a whole decade. Giannis isn't quite there yet. And like Alex mentioned, the blocks chant, the championships, the finals MVP, all that jazz. His second year, he went to the NBA Finals. Now, not many players can say that. Legit players, Let's see. And the Rockets team made the playoffs just about every year against pretty stiff competition. Name some centers here: Ewing, Shaq, Mourning, Mutombo, Robinson, Daughtry, Divock. And Olajuwon, he beat 2 of those in the finals. That played a big part for the reason why he's so high on the list. Is that because of who he beat? After the dust settles, he might go higher than 8th. To be totally honest, he was probably the best player in Houston among all sports for 20 years. And with all that said, that's my opening statement.
Fair enough. And you said something I never really thought about. Is there somebody above Olajuwon in Houston sports history? Now I'm trying to think of other sports guys, but
You got Bagwell, Biggio for Houston, but they were not even close.
What do you mean, Alex?
You had the Oilers.
Jose Altuve?
no.
And then you had the Houston Oilers, which, we had McNair or McNabb. Which one?
Oh, they weren't still in Houston when McNair was there.
Was it Warren Moon?
Moon was it? And
Well, didn't Elgin Campbell play for?
Earl Campbell.
Earl Campbell, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah, I think I might have to agree with your statement that now that we
Yeah.
broke it. I think Olajuwon might be the greatest Houston athlete
He
ever.
may be, yeah.
And I mean, that's even calling his college years too. I mean,
Yeah,
you count that.
Right.
that's
Yeah,
true.
I was going to go there. My opening
That is
statement.
All right, well, that will kick us to Drew, who has him a couple spots down at 10 overall and number 4 on his centers list. Drew?
Well, I'm not going to talk too many stats right now about Olajuwon, but I'm going to say more of how I knew Olajuwon before. Like, we really talked. Only what I really heard was when I've heard stories of how when he came to the United States, he had Houston and then 2 other places where they were cold. He did not want to be cold. So he decided to go to Houston because then he asked, when he got off the plane where the warmest was, and they told him Houston. So then he went to Houston, played 5 slam and jamma. Then he gets drafted by the Houston Rockets, which is perfect for him. He doesn't go anywhere. He's still at home. His home, I guess you can call it, in the States.
Well, what kills me about the going to Houston to play college is, like, I was just watching a thing on it yesterday. They were talking about how at the time he agreed to go to Houston, like the college, he'd only been playing basketball for 2 years. Because he played soccer and handball all growing up, and then and volleyball, and then he found basketball and fell in love with it. But by the time he went to college, he'd only been playing basketball for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, soccer, I'm sure, improved his footwork and
But playing those other sports helped
coordination,
him.
and so it showed.
Is that it, Drew?
Yeah.
All right, and that will lead us to Uncle Doug, who has him ranked the lowest of anyone at number 12, so far down his list, and number 5 on his centers list. Uncle Doug?
Yep. Hakeem was 14th on the scoring list, and his average would be 41st. Rebounds, he's 15th on the list, 32nd average. Assists is 200 and something, so that doesn't really matter. As Alex said, he's high on the steals list, number 1 on blocks. I think Olajuwon is great. As far as ahead of him, mine's pretty much accolades. I look at Olajuwon as another one of those people that MJ got, because he's only got the 2 titles, and he got those when MJ was gone. Had he beat MJ a year, he'd be way up my list. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on that. Just the stats are good, the accolades are good, but the guys I've got ahead of him on the centers list, and that's probably why he's so far down my regular list, is because I do have him 5th on my centers list.
Mm-hmm.
And
So what 4 guys do you have ahead of him on your centers list?
Kareem, Wilt, Shaq, and Russell.
Got you. And so Drew and Ray, you both have him at 4th. So what 3 guys do you have in front of him?
Kareem, Wilt, and Shaq.
Kareem, Wilt, Shaq.
Looks like Bill Russell, Chamberlain, and Jabbar.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have any of those guys ahead of Olajuwon.
We noticed. I think something we, not just us, but I think people in general overlook is the competition in the 90s. Everyone always says there was no competition back then and all this stuff, but if you go back and look at it, the East, especially I think the West side with the big guys, it was pretty loaded, I think. I don't think people really realize that as much because, like, I don't know. And it could just be my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I feel like it was more loaded than what people think it was, like the playing field.
I think the 90s overall was a great time for basketball, but again, I'm going to give an opinion that I think pretty much falls into fact. You guys can argue with me if you want, but that's the greatest decade for centers ever. I mean, you could probably name 5 guys from your list that played in the 90s.
Yeah, there's some pretty good ones there.
I mean, Olajuwon made all of our lists. Ewing made all of our lists. Robinson made all of our lists. Shaq made all of our lists. Mutombo made a list. I guess four of every single one of us plays in that same decade, and almost predominantly in that same decade. It's not like it's like, well, we named Kareem. He played in 1990. We don't have nothing like that. It's like,
and you had like Tim Duncan and them at the late power forward.
Well, I mean, Malone and Barkley played that same era.
Oh,
yeah.
There was other great big men too.
I just feel like people say that there was no competition back then.
No, Nick Wright says that because it's fitting a narrative that he's trying to make this narrative that LeBron has this much tougher of a time playing today than LeBron or than Jordan did in the 80s and 90s, and I can't get there.
No, I can't either.
Well, here, 1 second.
Or Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp goes there too.
Let's see if I have a TikTok about.
By the way, sorry I interrupted, Drew.
I got TikTok about competitions. It's Kobe. They're comparing Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron. 50 wins, beating 50-win teams as a starter. Kobe did 23 times. Jordan did it 20 times. LeBron did it 15 times. And then beating 60-win teams. This is like in the playoffs.
Oh, okay, got you.
Jordan did it 7 times. LeBron did it 4 times, and Kobe did it 1 time. So
I heard a stat on the way down here because they were talking about this year's Phoenix Suns. Only 17 teams in the history of the NBA have won 66 games or more. It's only happened 17 times. 12 of those 17 teams won the championship. And like 3 of the other ones, one of their big players suffered a big injury in the playoffs. I can't remember what they were. I can only remember one of them off the top of my head. Like it was one year during the 70s, the Celtics did it, and Havlicek dislocated his shoulder in the playoffs and missed, and they lost. Missed time and they lost. But there was 2 more that somebody.
Golden State.
Golden State.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Golden State. Yep.
They had a couple big injuries the year they won 73. So.
Yeah, there you go. There's another one. But yeah, so not that I think it's a sure thing that Phoenix wins the title this year, but that's pretty good company they're keeping.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good.
They're looking good. And with Chris Paul coming back.
Yeah, he looked good the other night.
Yeah.
I was speaking of coming back and looking good. Paul George came back and balled out last night.
Yeah, that he was coming back.
That was a hell of a comeback. I was watching that one.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell was
a
not
good
happy
game
afterwards.
I think they're about to break those Jazz up. Like, I don't know how this lasts much longer. But speaking of the Clippers, I was listening to a podcast on the way down here, and one of those guys, I think Kevin O'Connor, said that Kawhi has been training and is cleared to come back, but he doesn't know if he wants to, so he's going to give Paul George a week or two to see how things look and make his decision on whether he comes back for the playoffs or not.
Well, that'll make Wade happy. If Kawhi
Wade's
comes
probably
back.
yelling right now.
Well, I mean, he'll either be happy or, really disappointed if because, I mean, at this point, they're either going to be the 7th or 8th seed. So you may have to play Phoenix in the first round.
Right,
And then, if you come back to all this hoopla and then get bounced in the first round, I mean, it's not.
Who's the 2 seed right now out west?
The Memphis. I said Memphis.
I could see them being fine with playing Memphis, honestly. I could see them beating Memphis in the first round.
Thing is like, you just don't know what they're going to look like individually and as a whole. Because, I mean, these guys made the playoffs without either one of them.
Right.
And, Paul George came back last night and looked really good individually, and they ended up winning the game, which is nice. But, they get a couple more games under their belt with him, and then you're going to add Kawhi to it as well. And then, now your roles have changed so much by the time, you have to go play. I'm not saying they couldn't beat Memphis, but, I mean, Memphis has been playing together all year. Their roles are solidified.
Well, and, I mean, everybody knows what their role is. and you know how many minutes you're going to get, and whether you're going to start or come off the bench, and it's a whole different mentality coming off the bench. You take a couple of those guys that have been starting and are used to starters' minutes, you put them on the bench, you reduce their minutes. How happy are they going to be? What's it going to do to the chemistry?
Well, you take Reggie Jackson, in a matter of 2 weeks, could go from the leading scorer to the third leading scorer.
Right. Yeah. You got to be careful.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, partly for a fan reasons, just for interest, I think it'd be great if Kawhi and Paul George came back for a playoff run. I think it'd make things interesting. I mean, not that I wanted them to win, but I thought it would be interesting for AD to make it back by the time the playoffs were coming around. Now it doesn't even look like it's going to matter.
Yeah, no kidding. That's just embarrassing.
Well, I have a winning time. Speaking of the Lakers, I have a winning time advertisement at the top of my basketball reference page on my.
Ray does too.
Oh yeah, it is up there. Yeah, the top of my basketball reference page on my laptop here.
Huh.
Anyway, we can talk about Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, so we need to get back to him.
Yeah. I listened to a video yesterday making the case for the Dream being the greatest defensive player of all time. I don't know that I will say that he's definitively the greatest player of all time or greatest defensive player of all time, but he's definitely one of them. Great defensive player, all-time leader in blocks, top 10 steals, 3-time block champ, 9-time all-defense, 2-time defensive player of the year. Just changing games. By the way, this is one of the first guys in a while where I've been comfortable with their weight.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's right or not, but they have him listed at 255.
It sounds pretty close.
I have no idea. He could have weighed 260. He could have weighed 270. He could have weighed 250. I don't know.
Right.
But like they don't have him at 220.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Something ridiculous.
215.
At 7 foot, you're not 220 and look that big.
Right. Exactly. And they have him weighing more than the Mailman and Robinson, who we were all like, look how jacked they are. Look how these guys are built like tanks, and they have Dream heavier than them. And they have him listed at 7 foot on here, but pretty much everywhere I look, they have him listed at like 6'9", or 6'10". And Dream said he's never been anywhere close to 7 foot. He's like, that's what the NBA does. They fudge heights to make us,
Sure.
do those things. He's like, he's like, I might have been 6'10". He's like, but I tell everybody I was 6'9".
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought of him as being like 6'10", 6'11", somewhere in that vicinity.
How tall was Moses?
I think he was 6'10".
6'10", I think.
Because one of his nicknames is Little Moses, so I was kind of wondering what the height differential was.
It's probably one of the shortest nickname lists of all time. 2.
Yeah, only 2 names, yeah. Yeah, normally these guys have like 4 or 5 names we've never heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Charles Barkley, some of those, I was like, what the heck?
I will say, though, that like everybody I know that knows who Hakeem Olajuwon is knows he's the Dream.
Right. Yeah.
Like, he had a very popular nickname, so maybe there probably wasn't a lot of reason to give him another one. Like,
right. Yeah.
I don't remember, but did Oscar Robertson have a bunch of them? I would assume not, because he was the Big O.
The Big O.
Or George Gervin was the Iceman. Like certain nicknames just take over.
Yeah.
I'll look it up for you and see if we can.
Well,
He had 3. Big O, Mr. Triple Double, and Ozzy.
yeah, okay.
I just knew the Big O.
Mr. Triple Double, I get it though. Like, I don't know that. Again, we talked about it on the episode how they didn't call him triple doubles when he played.
Right. Yeah.
So would they have called him that then?
Wasn't really a thing.
Or did they start calling him that when he was an old man? Like, I mean, like that's a weird one.
I would guess later on if they weren't calling it that.
So, does anybody want I said it during my opening statement when nobody was, replying to me, but I did make a statement that I said you guys could rebuttal if you wanted to. That I said he was the greatest international player of all time.
I want to think about it. I was trying to think who's international.
I would say it's close. I actually have Tim Duncan ranked ahead of him.
Oh, I didn't. Is Tim Duncan international?
He's
He's from the U.S. Virgin Islands.
From the Virgin Islands.
If you count that as international.
Right, you said U.S. Virgin Islands.
Right, yeah. Well, he's from the Virgin Islands. I don't know if it's the U.S. or the other one.
Oh, here we go.
Duncan. I didn't even think about that.
That's because I was looking down my list and I thought, no. I'm like, yeah, Alex is right. And I thought, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's who got me in my head. I was thinking
he's from the Virgin Islands.
Which Virgin Islands is he from?
Yeah, I didn't even think about Duncan because I was like, are you really gonna throw Dirk at me? Because I was like, I like Dirk, but Dirk's not there.
No, Olajuwon's better than Dirk.
Yeah,
Tim Duncan is from the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh, it's the U.S. Virgin Islands, so he wouldn't be really international. All right, then I'll go along with it.
Okay, all right. You about caught me though, because I was like, that would have been.
I could remember because I know there's multiple islands in the Virgin Islands, and they're not all American. So.
Yeah, see, I was thinking Tim Duncan, but I can't remember which Virgin Islands he was from. So then we're gonna have an Olajuwon Tim Duncan argument.
Well, I mean, they're both. I mean, they play different positions, and they're
they're
both really good.
Yeah, they're both really. I mean, if you would have told me you thought Tim Duncan was better than Hakeem Olajuwon, there's definitely a argument to be made there, for sure. So I wouldn't have. It would have made my my statement less valid for sure.
Well, that leads into our episode next week too, because Tim's next week.
I was drawing a blank. Have we done Tim already?
No, he's next.
I've got a great what if for the Tim Duncan episode next week.
Well, I have a what if for the Tim Duncan episode too, and it just deals with my favorite team. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not mine. I got another one.
All right. Well,
I'll say when I was looking at articles and things about Olajuwon, I came across a funny story that I actually didn't remember it. I should have. You guys, do anybody remember Billy Pulse? He was this big, white center, and he and Olajuwon, they were playing in the playoffs, and Billy played for the Jazz. And, the Jazz went through a bunch of big centers that were there just to take up space. Well, he got under Olajuwon's skin, and Olajuwon actually slapped him. Which, I mean, that was not Hakeem. I mean, he never did bad things like that. I mean, it's just funny because he said, well, if he's going to flop, I'm just going to hit him. If I'm going to get a foul for him flopping, then I'm going to hit him. I just thought, I like that.
Hell yeah. I can get down with that.
And he says, yeah, he wasn't out there to play. He was just out there to be in my way. And so, yeah, and the article said that that's really what Pulse was doing that night. And the refs that particular night were letting him get by with it. They were letting him just flop around whenever. And so I thought that was pretty funny. I
don't see Olajuwon being the most physical center. I mean,
he was physical, but he was clean. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. He was the clean physical, not dirty.
No.
I don't see.
But I just thought it was funny that I had never heard a story like that about him, and I mean, everybody kind of said, well, yeah, I kind of understand that. It's pretty frustrating. And
well, we talked a lot about in the Dirk episode, and rightly so, about his finals run.
Mm-hmm.
And when they won the championship with Dirk and how much it elevated his career and things like that. Well, I think this is a very comparable title run, the 94 title run for the Dream. And I think there's a case to be made that he may not even have the supporting cast that Dirk did.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes out in the first round against Portland and puts up 34 and 11 and 4.
That'd be Clyde's team.
Yeah.
We're coming off finals a couple years before. So,
And then he goes to Phoenix, where Barkley is, and puts up 28 and 13 and 4.
and they're just fresh off a title run too. So
Yep. And then he goes to Utah with the mailman and Stockton and puts up 27 and 10 and 4. All of these he's shooting over 50%. He doesn't drop down into the 40s at all. And the second round he shoots 56%. And then he goes to the finals against Patrick Ewing.
And the Knicks.
And averages 27 and 9 and 3 on over 50% shooting.
Yeah, that was a great playoff run that year.
the Knicks did take him to 7 games, so
Yes.
he came to the 7 games twice,
Mm-hmm.
and he
But-
prevailed.
I mean, what? Kenny Smith is the second best player.
That's the only person I can
One,
think of.
one-time All-Star Kenny Smith.
Right.
Rookie Sam Cassell. Second year Robert Horry.
Big shot Bob.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Ray, why are you hating on my man? Big shot Bob.
Otis Thorpe. We're not really talking about any world beaters here.
No.
No, these.
Now the second title run, the very following season, they do add Clyde Drexler,
Right.
who is a guy that made our lists.
Mhm.
He is a great player, so he does add some real legit talent in that year. But he put up some pretty solid numbers that year as well. He went 35 and 8 in the first round against Utah again. Then he went back to Phoenix and gave him 29 and 9. And then he goes to San Antonio. This is the famous Robinson-Olajuwon duel because Robinson wins the MVP of the regular season and pisses the Dream off, and so he gives them 35, 12, and 5 on 56% shooting.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the finals and against Orlando and Shaq and goes 32, 11, and 5. So the Dream had 2 pretty phenomenal playoff runs. Here's one of my what-ifs, though. And Uncle Doug, you'll probably know better than the rest of us. But Ray mentioned earlier his second year in the league, they went to the finals with him and Sampson.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then is it the very next year or the year after that, Sampson's toast, pretty much. Like his knees
Right.
go.
He gets hurt, yeah.
And he's never really comes back. If Sampson doesn't get hurt and continues to be Sampson, because he'd only been in the league like 5 or 6 years at that point. So it's not like he was an old man.
No, he was. It might have even been less than that. He wasn't that far behind Elijah. I mean, that far ahead of Olajuwon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what year he came in. But yeah, then the knees went and he was done.
So
I think they shipped him someplace and he played
the
for
Warriors.
a couple more years. But
What is Sampson's first name?
Ralph,
Thank you. I couldn't think of it for nothing.
out of Virginia.
But my question is, would it have changed Olajuwon's career if him and Sampson would have continued their careers together in Houston? I mean, it was Sampson not having pretty much a career-ending injury.
Yeah, well, I think weren't they the first duo to average 20 points and 10 rebounds, both of them?
Oh, that's a great question. I have no idea.
I believe it was. I believe I read that they
Well,
were.
Olajuwon averaged 20 and 12 his rookie season.
Yeah, and
So-
I think Sampson was 20 and over 10 as well.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he went. Sampson's rookie season, he was 21 and 11, then 22 and 10, 19 and 11. So he'd only been, and he'd only played 3 seasons before he got hurt.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Well, being 7'4", and he wasn't the biggest guy weight-wise. It's hard on his body.
yeah, I mean, he played 82 games, 79 games, and then it's just 40, 19, 29.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
26, 25, 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big what if. Yeah, I think the two of them together, wow, that would have been
7'4", 228 pounds.
He was pretty thin.
He was skinny.
228 sounds awful light.
He looks thin in his picture.
Yeah, he was. But
And he's the one that hits the game winner in the Western Conference Finals in, what was that, 86? It's Sampson, isn't it?
I think so. I don't remember for sure.
I think it is. I think it's Sampson that hits the game winner to in the Lakers season in '86. Yeah, and they lose. They lose to Boston.
Boston,
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Olajuwon's one of those guys for me that I've always wondered. Like, Houston never put any talent around him.
Right.
It's kind of like what Houston did to Moses. Only, Moses left and would join Dr. J. I mean, Olajuwon finally got into the promised land, but not really because Houston stacked him with a team full of talent.
Right. I mean, they did at least finally go get Clyde, but still.
10 years later?
Yeah.
Probably. I mean,
And
probably
then after
close.
that, they got Barkley, but again, Barkley was...
Again, 13 years after all of them have been drafted.
Right.
Yeah, Barkley and Pippen were not the same. And these two weren't exactly the same anymore either, Drexler and Olajuwon,
Right.
I mean.
Yeah.
All four of them were on the decline. And he,
Yeah, sometimes I don't understand why teams wait so long. They wait for their star player to almost get out of his prime when they start bringing pieces in.
Well, I mean, the Western Conference during that time period was just brutal. I mean, you had them, and of course Barkley was running around out there, and you had Clyde in Portland, and then you had the Jazz with Stockton and Malone, and
Robinson in San Antonio.
Yeah, in San Antonio. So it was pretty tough.
So let's look at this MVP voting, because Olajuwon was very upset that he didn't win MVP in '95, but I haven't actually looked at it.
I haven't looked at 95. I looked at the year he won, and the year before he was second.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, when I looked at it, I thought the year '94, Shaq and Robinson both had, it was pretty close. I really thought he probably should have won the year before. Over Barkley won. And I thought it looked to me like the Dream had a better season, but...
Well, I mean, I got it pulled up here. Olajuwon averaged 1 more point, 1 more rebound, 2 less assists, similar steals, 3 more blocks.
3 more blocks, yeah.
When they both shot 52%, Olajuwon shot almost 53%.
Yeah.
From the field. So they had very similar seasons statistically.
So.
That's an interesting one there. I hadn't looked at that.
Did the Spurs have a better record, maybe?
You mean the Suns?
Or the Suns?
Yeah, the Suns have the best record in the league that year.
Yeah. And we've talked about that before, that a lot of times what your team does has an effect.
Yeah.
Really? Go ahead, Drew.
Well, supposedly Bruce Arians is retiring from coaching the Bucks.
Oh, my God.
What?
And Todd Bowles becomes Tom Brady's newest head coach.
Okay, well, let's wait a week and see if he unretires. My
But
God.
right, Tom Brady might be going to Miami.
Oh, you saw that too,
What?
huh?
Yeah, there's a rumor that Tom Brady's heading to Miami. They're trading him to Miami.
Oh, God dang it.
Can you imagine Tyreek Hill, Tom Brady, Jalen Waddle, all them?
Wow.
What's Robbie D going to think of that?
Robert's going to hate it. He hates Tom Brady. If he becomes a Dolphin.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so let's talk about the 95 MVP voting, because this is a Michael Jordan-less, well, for the most part, Michael Jordan-less year, although Mike comes in 11th in the MVP voting.
Hey,
They missed him.
he only played, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. How many games did he play? Does it say? No, it doesn't. It doesn't say how many. Oh, yeah, it does. 17.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew he didn't play very much.
Okay, so David Robinson averages 27, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and 3 blocks on 53%. The Diesel averages 29 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks on 58% shooting. So I think there was a case that the Diesel had a better season than David
Yeah,
Robinson.
should have won more than one MVP. But go ahead.
Karl Malone averaged 26 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block on 53% shooting. A very similar season to the Admiral. And then Patrick Ewing averaged 24 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks on 50% shooting. I don't think his season really stacks up to those first 3 guys.
No.
And then Dream, averages 27 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and 3.5 blocks on 51% shooting. Wow, Dennis Rodman came in 12th in the MVP voting.
Yeah.
Is that the year he averaged 18?
No, he averaged 7.
No, not rebounds.
Oh, rebounds, he averaged 16.
Oh.
So 7 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, a half a steal, and half a block on 57% shooting.
How is he ahead?
He's ahead of Jason Kidd,
Clyde Drexler.
Clyde Drexler, who averaged 21, 6, and 4.
This is...
Hey, and this is the year that I talked to you about a bunch of episodes ago, Uncle Doug. Cedric Sabalas was 15th on the MVP voting.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Wow.
The Lakers were in their prime then.
Oh, jeez.
Penny was 10th that year.
Hey.
21, 4, and 7, and a steal on 51%. Gary Payton was 9th. He averaged 20 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals on 51%. John Stockton was 8th that year with better stats than Steve Nash when he won the MVP.
That is so dumb. Steve Nash
Yeah.
MVPs are so dumb.
I struggle with those.
I ain't going to talk about that anymore. I feel like we bring it up whenever.
Scottie Pippen was 7th this season with 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists, 3 steals, a block on 48%.
Love you. Look at all their free throw percentages. It's like 70, ones in the 60s, 80s, and then you got Shaq, 53.
Yeah.
He was so bad at it.
Yeah. So I would say that Dream has a case, but
I think,
I'll be honest with you. I think I'd give it to Shaq.
Yeah.
yeah.
The year that Dream won it, the next year, or the year before, 94, Dream was 27, 11, 9, 3, 6, 3, 7 blocks. Shaq was 29 points, 2 points ahead, 13 rebounds, 2 rebounds ahead. It was an assist behind and a block behind. So there was a case for Shaq then, too.
So who had the better record that year? The Spurs?
What year? The
MVP Robinson got?
Robinson's MVP year?
Yeah.
All right, let me look. The Spurs won 62 games and were first in the league. So, yeah, the Spurs won more games.
Yeah, there we go. Wow, it seems to
62
be a
games.
pattern.
Yeah, if your team does well, most of the time your best player, if he has close enough stats.
Yeah, the Rockets only won 47 games. So,
Weren't they the 5th or 6th seed that year in the playoffs?
Let's see, the first. See if I can figure this out.
Because one of my trivia questions was Houston Rockets were the lowest seed to win a title.
Yeah, one of those years they
were
they were
5 or
lower.
6, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, they're the 6th seed in 95.
Yeah, I thought one of the years they were pretty low.
All right, guys, should we go into litigation?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sweetly.
All right, I only got one apiece for you guys today.
Ooh.
Oh, I just got it on my phone. Bruce Arians retiring.
Yeah, I got it on mine, too.
So,
Moving to the front office.
Oh, gosh.
all right. Well, he has had his fair share of health problems. So maybe that has something to do with it.
And probably prima donna attitudes. Brady.
You ready, Ray?
Yep.
All right, buddy. Why you got Wilt ahead of Olajuwon?
That one's kind of a, maybe the MVP probably boost him a little bit. But like I said at the beginning, Olajuwon's probably going to be heading upward on the list.
That's my guy.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but I mean, there could be a couple getting shook down lists and Hakeem's going up, but yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I can say is probably the MVPs. Other than that, I mean, Hakeem's probably got him in all around, skill set. So,
All right. Drew,
Oh boy.
why do you have Jerry West ahead of the Dream?
I think I have Jerry West ahead of the Dream because he won the Finals MVP on the losing team against that Celtics team, and I think with Jerry West's shooting ability back in the day, I think that would translate very well to newer eras of the NBA. I think that was appreciated as much back then. So I think those are the two main reasons why I have him ahead of.
Are you
Dream.
saying Olajuwon couldn't translate? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying he couldn't translate. I'm just saying I think Jerry West's shooting back then was underappreciated.
Okay. Well, I watched a TV show,
Oh boy.
and apparently Jerry West said himself that he's just the world's greatest loser.
I think I know what TV show you're talking about.
All right. And then I have one for you, Uncle Doug.
Okay.
Why do you have the big O ahead of the Dream?
I thought you might ask that. I was
He
just
always
looking at
does. Me and Ray are always surprised.
Yeah. I kind of figured that might be it. When I heard Ray got Wilt, I thought, I bet I'm going to get the big L.
Yeah.
Again, it's probably just the scoring and the assists. Of course, obviously, you can't rebound with Olajuwon. Because he doesn't, he's got one title, one MVP, the triple-double season. I do have him just one spot ahead of Olajuwon, so that might get reevaluated. But you know me, I got to give the old guys a little love.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you saw my theme here, that every
think
guy
that- yeah.
every guy I asked about played really a long time ago,
Yeah.
and Olajuwon played in the 80s and 90s.
So,
So yeah.
In the 2000s, Olajuwon played for Toronto.
He did. You're right.
Did they go to the playoffs that year? I don't feel like they
I
did.
would doubt it, but I
I
don't
feel
know.
like they
I
did.
could check
For some
real
reason, I
quick.
feel like I don't know why. I feel like they
They
did.
won 42 games, and they played in the first round of the playoffs. Yeah, way to go, Drew.
I don't know why. I felt like they made the playoffs.
They lost to the Pistons in that series.
they had a decent squad though. They
Yeah.
had Carter, Childs, Curry, old ass Curry, Antonio Davis. It wasn't horrible, but
I mean, if Olajuwon's not 39,
yeah,
like imagine prime Vince Carter and Olajuwon together.
yeah, that'd be nice.
But I don't have Carter on this team.
What?
I just saw him earlier, but I don't know.
I mean, there's the
I don't know what happened to him either. 'Cause I thought I saw him up above too.
who?
What happened to him?
I mean, he's not. Maybe did he not play in the playoffs?
Hmm.
Because I have the
Maybe.
playoff stats pulled up, and the leading scorer for the Raptors is Antonio Davis, and then Keon Clark, and then Alvin Williams, and Chris Childs, and Mo Peterson. There's no
Vince.
Carter.
Where could have Vince been?
He must have been hurt because Vince was drafted in '98.
Yeah.
Was that right? '98.
I think so.
He was drafted in the '90s though.
Interesting. Okay.
So maybe that team would have had a playoff run in it if Carter would have been there. I don't know where he was. He had to have been hurt, I would suppose.
Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, guess. Yeah, whatever. Let's see. I'm pulling that season up more. Vince Carter. Look at 02. And Vince Carter in 02 season played 60 games. So I guess we can operate under the assumption that he did get hurt and missed that playoff series.
Yeah.
I guess that doesn't really matter, but Vince had his episode.
Yeah, he did.
Does anybody have any questions for me before we close up
I
litigation?
did not look.
Let's
You never look, Drew.
I have the last couple weeks. I have. Thank you.
Yeah, Ray's handing out lists and get some questions. Because I am the outlier here, so there should be questions.
Why do you have Olajuwon ahead of Kareem?
Because I think what he did was more difficult than what Kareem did. Kareem never won a championship without a Hall of Fame point guard. And, you know, somebody that we have Magic, the second highest rated player on our list as a conglomerate. And then we all have the Big O on our list, obviously. And I just think Olajuwon's title runs are more impressive, and was a more dominant force on the other end of the floor. I don't dislike Jabbar. I have Jabbar too. It's not like I have him at 5.
You only have him one spot lower.
Yeah, and I knew what I was doing when I put it in Olajuwon at number 1. Wade knew it too. Wade goes, well, Alex is going to put Olajuwon ahead of Kareem. So
I was just asking because
that's the one I would have asked you.
Yeah, I said Kareem has 6 titles and 6 MVPs to Olajuwon. Olajuwon had 2 MVPs, right?
No, 1 MVP.
1 MVP.
One, yeah.
So I just wanted to ask that.
Ray, you got any?
No, I was gonna ask about Tim Duncan, but you already answered that by the Kareem answer. So
yeah, I do have Olajuwon ahead of Duncan by I think 2 spots.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm good on the question.
All right, well, that was lame.
Wow, wow.
All right, well.
Well, I mean, I looked at your list and just like, okay, Olajuwon and then Kareem and then Duncan and then I'm not asking LeBron. That's definitely not going to be a question I'm asking.
Yeah, we don't.
And then you got Kobe and Shaq at 9 and 10, which they partnered up and got 3 titles. So, I mean, I really ain't got no questions for you.
Well, honestly, it's kind of scary to say, but the very top of our lists are similar, Ray.
Well,
I'm not you get a little haywire on me, like the latter half of our 10s, because, you throw your Pippen in there and Kuzi in there and stuff. But the first half of our top 10s is very, very similar.
Yeah. Just legit players at the top,
Legit players. Is that what it is?
Yep. Well, it's going to be a whole legit list at the end of this. No more hot takes.
Talking about takes, I have a take here, guys.
Oh, God.
I was thinking about this because I was listening to the Karl Malone episode where we were bagging on Greg Ostertag. shout out Mom again.
Yeah.
Greg.
And I was like, wait, is Greg Ostertag Charles Oakley that blocks shots? So maybe we weren't giving those Jazz teams enough credit because they had another guy that could potentially be top 50 on Ray's list.
Okay. Okay. I've admitted to error my ways. Let's not keep putting the poo in my pants, okay?
We're gonna teach you about it forever.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be like the middle of our football episodes, and we're gonna be like Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
You remember when Ray put a non-Hall of Famer on his top?
And I'm just gonna say the same thing I always do, asshole.
Oh man, I couldn't help myself.
I know. Oh shit.
All right, well, shall we? Does anybody have anything else, or we want to do closing statements, or what?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. Well, we're going to go reverse order and go Uncle Doug first.
Sure. I really like the Dream. Nothing against him. I just had some other centers ahead of him. And by the time he got pushed down my center list, that kind of pushed him down the other list. He may go up a little bit on the other list. Some of my old guys may get moved around now that I've made some points and talked about them a little bit. But the Dream, and especially like Alex was saying, that 94 playoff run was amazing. And it was the Dream for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's a reason that he's like, well, how old is Dream right now? He's
Oh, shit, I just saw
he's
him.
he's 59, and guys that are gonna be Hall of Famers still go to him and be like, "Hey, will you train me on how to do my footwork?"
Sure.
I mean, guys, we just talked like Kobe went to Olajuwon.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, it's a pretty big. What would you call it? Badge of honor when top 10 guys all time come to learn things from you. Sorry, do that in there.
No, that's it for me.
All right, that'll lead us to Drew.
Yes, I think having him down as number 4 center, I felt like I kept putting centers in the top 10. I felt like it was just centers, so I think he's going to come up a couple spots on the overall list. And I think something we didn't talk about his Dream Shake.
We didn't mention the Dream
I
Shake.
just thought sitting here thinking about it, we didn't talk about his special shots. I think that's what I'm going to do is bring that up for my closing statement, is that we didn't talk about his famous shot. So
I watched an interview with Shaq, and Shaq goes, Olajuwon only has 5 moves, but he has a counter to every one of those moves, and he can counter his counter. So really, Olajuwon has about 20 or 25 moves.
I read the same thing. I thought that was pretty good quote.
Yeah. So
yeah, I just want to bring that up for my closing statement since we didn't even talk about it.
All right, is that it?
Yep.
All right, and Ray.
I don't think there's much left to be said. Phenomenal player. I mean, there's a lot to say about a player that is the best athlete in a city for like 20 years. I mean, you got to give the guy props for that. So that's why I got to put him up the list a little bit after doing this episode, because I must have been slacking a year ago and just totally blew my mind. But he's rolling up the list, and mad props to that guy for being that badass to be Houston's own for 20 years. So, yeah.
All right, and that will end with me. I love the Dream. Like watching him play, like watching his highlights. Like I mentioned a couple times today already, his finals runs are hella impressive. He unbelievable amount of deadly post moves. Sorry, I got some drainage going on. I right in the middle of my sentences, lose my voice there. Just great player, both ends of the floor. I know Ray mentioned Giannis earlier. If we're comparing like dominating both ends of the floor, I do think there is a comparison. I don't think their styles were necessarily the same. I think they were different style players, but just both end freaks. I'll give you that, Ray, on that one. Going down, dominating the defensive end, and being the leading scorer on the offensive end. It's not something a lot of guys can handle. That load on them season in, season out, and this was taking time off every season. Load management. We're talking about a guy that played between 35 and 42 minutes a night for 20 years. Well, not the full 20 years. The last 3 years, he only played 20-some minutes. But
and a 7-footer at that, who all centers have chronic knee problems and feet problems throughout that whole thing.
Speaking of which, I watched a couple of videos of him doing footwork drills with players, and I watched one with Dwight. So like him and Dwight were like taking turns trying to do these moves on each other. And obviously he's playing one-on-one with Dwight Howard. It's not like he's playing a 5-on-5 basketball game. But like in these drills, he looked like he could play today.
Oh, wow.
Like the move, not just like the moves he was putting on Dwight, but the lift he was getting. Like, he could definitely still dunk a basketball. And then I realized we're talking about like he's really tall, so it's not like that's a huge thing for me, but like, or for him, but like he would like get into the middle of the lane to go up for his jump hook, and I'm like, the lift he is getting, like now obviously could he go through the grind of an 82 game season? No. But like if you told him like, hey, I need you to go out and play one game tonight. We're short players. Like COVID season or whatever.
Yeah,
I feel like he could. I feel like he could hold his own for a night.
What would happen if he came out of retirement?
I don't know, but can you come out of retirement once you're in the Hall? Can you be an active Hall of Famer?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. Can't.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
saw him when Houston was making their run at March Madness. He was at the games. And
Yeah.
he looks like he's in good
Yeah, I
shape.
saw him in
Like he looks
stands.
healthy. Because sometimes after players retire, they don't look good.
Yeah.
Like some of them don't look.
A lot of them balloon up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put on a whole bunch of weight and stuff.
Yeah, but he looked good, I thought.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And you know what, Alex? I got a funny story too about kind of the same thing. Every time I watch these GD Wendy's commercials and Reggie Miller, and he
here
pulls
we go.
off that little warm up and he's got that hot and juicy jersey on, I'm like, yeah, put that motherfucker on the Pacers.
Oh man,
I bet Reggie can still shoot.
Yeah.
I'll say this, man. I enjoy those commercials during March Madness.
I do.
Yeah.
Reggie does a good job with that stuff.
Reggie's commentating. He does some of the games. He cracks me up.
I think Reggie could go upstairs with Shaq and Kenny and Chuck and them, and he'd fit in.
Oh, I think so.
That'd
Yeah.
be funny. Listen
I like
to
listening
Shaq,
to Reggie.
Kenny, Reggie, and Charles.
I think some of the other guys don't have the personality for it, like Grant Hill or Steve Smith. And those, I don't think they have the personality to go up with those big dominant personalities, but I think Reggie could do it.
Oh, yeah.
Reggie would definitely fire back at him.
Oh,
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the end of my closing statements, and that will end the Hakeem Olajuwon portion of this episode, and will lead us into trivia. And Drew, I believe that leads us to you, right?
All right. Yep. We know Steve Kerr is number 1 on 3-point percentage. Who is number 2?
3-point percentage?
Yeah. Steve Kerr is number 1. Who is number 2?
I got my answer. A lot of thinking going on the other side of the room.
Yeah, this is tough.
All right, I'm locked in.
All right, I got one.
All right. You ready, Ray?
Yep.
All right, let's see him.
Had to throw Reggie in there.
Yeah, Reggie.
I said Ray Allen.
I said Seth Curry.
Hubert Davis.
Hubert Davis.
Oh, Carolina's coach.
Yeah, Hubert. Seth Curry's 3.
Damn.
But yeah, when I saw Hubert, I'm like, I got to ask it with them making the Final Four.
Yeah.
Go Tar Heels.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so.
They've got to beat Duke in this game. Like, you can't send Coach K packing at the end of the regular season and then let him come back and beat you in the tournament.
Yeah.
In your first ever meeting.
Yeah, like you've got oh man.
And I think he's 50 and 49 all time against him. So if you beat him, you tie all time.
Yeah, he's 500 against you all the time. Yeah.
Okay. All right, you or me, Ray?
I'll go ahead and hit it off.
All right.
All right, this is the Kobe question, which I probably should have did last week. But, so Kobe has some big games scoring-wise, like Toronto, for example. He scored 81.
I had no idea.
I know. I figured I'd let you know. You look kind of confused over there. But my question is to you guys, is name the team he scored the least amount against.
Like,
name the team. You don't even have to name the score.
He's got to name the team that he scored the least amount of points
Yep.
against. All right.
like, are we talking
Single game
a
or
single game?
Yeah, single
okay.
game.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Single game. Okay.
I gotta guess.
Yeah, I got to guess.
Drew.
I'm thinking. Give me a second.
Is that hard for you?
No. All right. I got one.
I said the Suns.
I said the Kings.
Said the Bucks.
It is actually the Detroit Pistons, and he scored 40.
Oh.
Now I have more questions. I thought we were looking. I mean, not that it mattered. I would just guess a team, but I thought we were looking for a team that he scored the least amount of points for. Obviously,
No, against.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Again, the least amount of points against.
Yeah.
But obviously, he scored less than 40 in games because he never even averaged 40.
Well,
you're talking about his highest point total ever against teams?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to make it confusing.
Well, you did, Ray.
Sorry.
It's all right.
All right.
I was
nobody-
getting ready for it to be like 6.
I know. I thought
Act
you were
like
yeah.
his rookie
I was
year
going to say
again.
his rookie year, he probably had some, clunkers there.
Sorry.
All right. Well, I was going to do a draft question, but
Thank the Lord.
we've talked about this draft way too much. Everybody knows it's Olajuwon, Bowie, and MJ, and it's like the greatest draft of all time. So I went with a little different take, but still Olajuwon. Okay, quadruple double.
Yep.
Been 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Nate Thurman had the very first one in '74
Mm-hmm.
because that's when they started doing all the stats. And of course, Dream had his in the '90s. In '90, name the other 2 guys.
You kidding me?
Nope.
I named them in one of the episodes.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Me and Dad talked about it like a week ago, and now I'm mad because I'm sitting
Not
here.
that I have the answers written down, mind you, but I named them in one of the episodes.
Ooh, I remember one. Write it down.
Yeah,
write
old
it down.
Nate Thurman in '74 had 22 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, and 12 blocks.
It's a game, man.
But it was an overtime game.
Mm.
It's the only quadruple double in an overtime game. The other 3 people did it in regulation.
Mm.
The Dream had 18 points, 16 boards, 10 assists, 10 blocks.
Oh. What's his name? I remember it now. No. Come on.
All right, I got my guesses. I'm going to be wrong, though.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Do.
I know. I'm running out of time, Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
I know it's wrong, so go ahead.
All right.
What you guys got?
I said the Admiral and Bill Walton.
I said Dave Robinson and Nate Williams, but
And I just said Gary Payton and Giannis.
Okay, well, the Admiral is correct.
yeah.
He had 34 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, 10 blocks.
Second one.
That was in '94. The other one is the only guard
Yeah.
to do this, and it's Alvin Robertson for the Spurs in '86. 20 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals.
I knew it was a guard, but I couldn't think of a
Yep.
name. I was so mad.
Interesting.
All right. Well, now we'll wrap this up with a current statistic question. How many players, so I'm looking for a number here, how many players currently in the NBA are averaging 25 or more points per game?
You just want the number?
The number of players, yes.
Is there a certain game amount, or can they have played like?
I'm sure there is, because there always is for the NBA. But
Okay.
All right, I got to guess.
I got to guess.
Yep, locked in.
all right, what you guys got?
I said 7.
I said 9.
I said 25.
Well, it's kind of in the middle. It's 12.
Ah.
Would you guys like to know?
Yeah.
All right, starting from the bottom at 12 to 1. Steph Curry, Donovan Mitchell, Nikola Jokic, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Ja Morant, DeMar DeRozan, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and LeBron James, who is, I think, sitting out because he has the lead now in the scoring title, and he's like, I'm not gonna fuck it up. I'm gonna sit out.
Could be.
Bull crap. Bull crap.
So we shut ourselves out.
Yep.
We've tended to been doing this lately.
I'm telling you guys, we gotta start asking what number was Michael Jordan.
That's right.
Magic Johnson.
But just a reminder on where the tallies are. It is Ray with 22. Uncle Doug with... Hold on here. I can't read my own handwriting. Uncle Doug and Drew with 46 apiece. Is that right? I thought Uncle Doug passed
you.
I passed him, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
So, okay, yeah, I got that. Uncle Doug with 46 and Drew with 45. Yeah. There we go. Alex with 53 and Wade with 58. And obviously Wade's lead was not cut into this week. Even though he's not even fucking here to defend himself.
Bullcrap. He's going to win. He should not be able to win because he missed too many episodes.
That's right. That's right. It's like the MVP award.
You can't not show up.
That's right.
He's going to be mad when he hears this.
When's he going to tell us? Oh, man. Okay. So, thanks for tuning in to our Hakeem Olajuwon episode. And please tune in next week for our Tim Duncan episode, the big fundamental. Looking forward to that one. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.